Or like, I mean, the future is always unpredictable. So, whatever you think is going to happen next year, a few months may not necessarily be the case. So just staying in the moment, just approaching things day by day, because, tomorrow could be totally a different thing that you don't always expect. I think that's always important.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the All Music Matters in That podcast. I'm your host, Brian. And joining me today, and I'm hoping I pronounce it right, Mark Athanasiadis. Is that how you pronounce it?
Yep, you got it.
All right. I'm getting the hang of this, actually, finally. I always struggle with last names for some reason, but good to have you on, buddy. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Not too bad. Where are you at?
So I am in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Actually, just a little bit north of Toronto. It's a city called Markham. So just north of Toronto.
Oh, it's so sweet because me and my dad, we actually came out to Toronto a little while back. That was obviously pre-pandemic and everything too. So I guess, how's it up there right now?
That's nice, warm weather.
For now,
Yeah.
until the cold winter comes in and everybody sticks indoors then.
Yep.
Something like that. All right, so welcome to my podcast. I like to invite drummers on here, and I happened to stumble upon your page quite by accident and just happened to reach out to see if you're interested, and happy you came on. So I got some questions here for you, and just want to get to know you a little bit more and see what the drum community thinks. So you ready?
Yep, I'm ready.
All right, so let's start with the simple one. Tell us a little bit about your drum history. How did you get into drumming?
Well, I got a drum set. I first got a drum set. I was in middle school, grade 6. Basically, I had a best friend in elementary school. His name is Matthew Turcott. He had a drum set at his house since he was like 3, 4. I've known him since like preschool, kindergarten. So I've gone to his house many, many times. I've played on his drum set, and he would always be playing. It's like, ooh, this looks cool. I've been enough times. I've played around a little bit during like my elementary school days. I had another childhood friend who I've known since I was 5. His name is Jeff Bruce. His mom and my mom used to be like best friends a long time ago. So I hung with him, been to his house many times. He eventually got a drum set as well. So that basically kind of like cemented my interest. So I asked my mom one day, I was like, hey mom, I want to get a drum set. And she like, I think was shocked at first, just hearing it. And then she was like, oh, okay. Pretty much soon enough, she did. She bought me a drum set. It was what is it? This was November 2006, I believe, when I first got it. So, yeah, set it up and everything, and then I just basically just started playing around with it. I was self-taught for like the first like 4 years or so. I think I played. It's grade 6. Played around just rock songs, just some simple stuff, and I got pretty good at it. Think I was allowed to play in my music class. My music teacher was auditioning like one drummer for the class because there was just one drum set in the class. So it was me and actually it was my friend Matthew Turcott. We were in the same class, so we both I think like took turns. I think that's how it was. Then I played in a talent show at my school called Arts Night. So I did a drum solo there. So it was like first kind of like live exposure per se into the world,
Yeah.
I guess, of drumming. Joined the concert band, played that through middle school and then in music class. And then it wasn't until high school where I started taking it more seriously. I think my high school had a lot of like different bands. They had a stage band, a concert band, a symphony orchestra, a show choir, pit band. So there's like a lot of like music stuff going on. My music teacher was amazing, who ran a lot of stuff. So yeah, my friend Jeff Bruce from elementary school, he went to the same high school. I think he was 2 grades above me. So he was basically like the drum leader, I guess, of the school. Because it was just a regular academic school. So there weren't too many drummers, I guess, that went to that school. So he was kind of the one that was grooming me with like learning all the parts and just drumming in general. So I started taking lessons in grade 10, drum lessons. Mom signed me up for theory lessons as well. I did a little bit of piano just to improve the musical chops a little bit. So took it seriously starting then because it wasn't until then where I like thought I wanted to do it more seriously as like a passion after high school. So took lessons 10, 11, 12. After that, I went to York University for 1 year for Bachelor of Fine Arts. Then I went to Humber College the year after, another school out in West Toronto area. Really great school. Lots of crazy musicians. Lot of great teachers I had there. So studied there, did the degree, Bachelor of Contemporary Music. It was a 4 year program. I graduated 2018 in York, Humber. Played a lot with many different great musicians. Played in a few different bands. Started gigging regularly during school. Then a lot more like after school. It's basically kind of the way it is. I've been mostly just gigging a little bit more now that things are kind of opening up. And then I've been teaching a lot as well. That's been kind of most of my work during the COVID years. So kept me a little bit busy.
Was it more like doing a session musician kind of work?
Not as much session work, just live gigs mostly.
I see. I guess kind of walk through your career path. Is it kind of like gigging with like cover kind of bands, or do you do like session work and then I guess sort of any other? I guess try to explain your work. I guess.
Yeah, so I play in a few different bands. One main one that I play a lot with right now is called Accolades. It's a jazz rock fusion funk band. We're like a mix of many things. So yeah, we have an EP up on Spotify, like 6 songs. We did that, released that like a year ago. It's been like a few years in the making. I play a mix of many songs. Play in a jazz trio called Chris Molino Jazz Trio. I'm a sax player who lives all the way in Sarnia, just like a few hours southwest of Toronto. We met at Humber, so I think I like played on his 3rd-year recital, and then he started getting me for gigs like out in Sarnia. So me and our bass player, it's just me, bass and sax. We did like a lot of like weekend road trips out in Sarnia because that's where most of the gigs were. Then a few in Toronto. I've been rehearsing with again also a prog metal band as well. So like I do like a bit of everything, different kinds of music, but like rock is like my bread and butter, which I love listening to mostly. Then a few little freelance stuff here and there, some R&B jams I do like bi-weekly on Fridays at a brewery close by to my house, and like few little things here and there. But yeah, most of my, I guess, career has been mostly just live gigs.
I see. Yeah, you keep yourself busy too. And I guess you stay local. Do you ever go like to Montreal, Ottawa, or any of those other cities along the east side of Canada?
I haven't much. I think my band Accolades, we did an East Coast tour once, 2018. We did like 1 week in Ottawa, Montreal, and then we did like out to New Brunswick, did Fredericton. I think we did Moncton as well. Like a few, it was like a week, 5, 6, 7 day kind of tour. So that's pretty much the only time I've gone that far east. I used to play years ago in a big band called Toronto All-Star Big Band, like 30s and 40s big band music. So like I joined it when I was in grade 12. So that was kind of like the first time I did like more and more outside of school gigs with that band. We rehearsed every Thursday nights throughout the year. Then it was like a full-time, like everyday summer job, like July, August. We rehearsed every day, did like gig like every like couple of days. So there's a lot of festivals around the GTA. We did like some like Southern Ontario as well, Niagara region. We went up north a few cities as well. Then we did a couple times, went to play in Florida for a week for like as part of like a big festival. We went to Iowa, Ohio as well. That was the only time I've ever played like in the States, like for a gig. But yeah, that says most as I've ever been with like outside of GTA kind of exposure.
You never went out west to like Winnipeg or Vancouver?
I haven't, no, not yet.
I would say I haven't been to Winnipeg, but I've been actually to Calgary and Vancouver. Nice cities, by the way.
Yeah.
Actually, I went there on a tour with my parents. That's a whole other story too. But I guess what were your parents like when you wanted to say like, hey, I want to, in the case, kind of be like a rock star in a way?
Oh, they loved it. Yeah, been very supportive. I mean, I still live at home right now with my mom and stepdad and my dad, who I talk to regularly as well. He's very very supportive as well with what I do. So
That's good to
yeah,
hear, I guess.
my mom used to sing in choirs younger. My dad was a trumpeter. He's a minister, so lots of music in church. He played organ as well. So definitely have musical tastes in my family. So they all love music.
It wasn't just like you were the one child that happened to just love music and wanted to be the rock star of everybody. So, all right, that's good to
Yeah,
hear. It's good to have this support
yeah.
too.
No, none of mine have ever like been professional musicians or anything. Just hobbies. Me, I'm like kind of like the first one. Oh, my older sister as well. She been writing her own music as well.
Oh, that's pretty sweet too. A whole
Yeah,
family of musicians too. That's pretty sick.
yeah, in a
Uh,
way.
yeah, absolutely. Uh, are you near your kid by any chance, or is it in a different room right now?
I'm in upstairs in my bedroom. My kit's in my basement.
Oh, I see. Walk us through it. What kind of kid is it?
Right now, my main one is a Yamaha Stage Custom Redwood, 22-inch bass drum, regular snare, 10-inch rack tom, 12-inch second rack tom, and then a 16-inch floor tom. Crash cymbal, hi hat, another crash cymbal, actually an ozone specifically. Then right cymbal. Sometimes I add a China, sometimes a splash if I do like play like busier rocky metal stuff. But sometimes I don't put it all up because I don't always need it. And then I have a travel one that like a transport for gigs sometimes, a Sonar jungle kit. Smaller bass drum. Actually, this bass drum is like the size of my floor tom, so it's a very smaller setup, but it's easier to like put in cases and like transport it. But my Yamaha one is my main one that I set up in my basement that I like use for like drum covers and some bigger gigs and such.
Is one electronic set and one's acoustic, or are they both acoustic?
They're both acoustic.
Oh, okay. Have you ever played with
Yeah.
electric sets before?
Yep. The couple schools that I teach at, there's always an electric set, like in the classrooms where I teach. So it's usually one electric and one acoustic. So I play on it when I need to. If like one of my students is playing the acoustic, then I sit on the electric. I always just performed with it just a few on Friday night for a gig. But no, I never owned one or never played it professionally electric ever. It's been mainly acoustic.
I guess would you ever think of maybe combining the two together? If you ever thought about it, kind of have like a percussion set for the electric set, and then just have the acoustic set, whatever it is, and then just roll with that.
I mean, right now, no. I prefer just strictly acoustic. I mean, if I ever like move out and like at a condo or something, and like if I had noise complaints, then obviously I would consider looking into one that's like won't bother any neighbors. But I mean, I don't need to right now because I'm still at home. So I prefer strictly just acoustic.
All right, that sounds good. What sort of drumsticks do you play?
I have a few different ones. The ones I've been using are the company is Las Cabos drumsticks. Mostly 5As, so not too thin but not too thick either, just the right kind of balance. I use 5Bs sometimes as well, a little bit thicker for like if I'm playing louder rock stuff, just for more attack and sound. I use Vic Firth as well, just classic Vic Firth, just like the feel of them, the smoothness of the sticks. Sometimes ProMark, but mainly Vic Firth and Las Cabos I mostly use.
I see. Did you like start with one drumstick, and then was it kind of hard to kind of experiment with like a new one at first?
Well, my mom like bought me like just a bunch of just random sticks, so I didn't really know too much about brands back then. So I just kind of just used whatever I had in my basement. I guess it wasn't until like I guess high school where I started or like seeing what some of my other drummer friends had in terms of sticks, where I started like I guess paying more attention to them. So I think Vic Firth was the one I started with, and I've never been too picky with brands too much. I feel good and like the tips are good. They do the job. Then that's all that mattered to me.
You know, I've heard stories like that too from like some other people that I've interviewed, and I've always stuck with Vic Firth. I feel like if I try to experiment, I might be stuck with that stick for a while, and I'd be like, I just want to get that brand afterwards. So that might just be me, but I just don't know. I always like to ask people if they stuck with one brand or whether they've experimented with any other ones. So normally that's why I ask. But
yeah, I've used ProMark a few times. as well, like as main sticks, but mostly Vic Firth and Las Cabos
I
are
see.
my
Yeah.
main ones.
Yeah. Uh, let's jump into your YouTube channel a little bit. Do you roll with it under your name? And I guess when did you start it?
So I had it since I was grade 7, actually, like a long time ago. My name, like at the time, stage name was Drummarkdrum, and like I've had that same. That's been my email, drummarkdrum@yahoo.com, since I was like grade 7. So I guess 2007, and I've never changed it. Um, yeah, I had like family members that filmed me a few times, and I made like I think a few times just a couple freestyle videos, just improvising and doing whatever. So I think my mom, dad like shared it a few times just for people to like know that, oh, you actually drum, you're good or something. So I did that for a little bit during my middle school days. High school, I stopped doing it. I don't know, just lost interest in just posting and like YouTube and cameras or anything because I just had like cheap stuff. My setup and audio wasn't like great at the time because I didn't really care so much into it. But then I had like some like live performances from like high school and Humber. That's like that I thought maybe I should post it just to see how I am live. So I did that for a little phase, just uploading stuff. So at least I wasn't like out of the woods or like just irrelevant. But then I didn't really take it seriously, or at least started posting regularly until during COVID in 2020. I think first one I did of like a regular rock song was Foo Fighters, The Pretender. That was I think the first one I like uploaded as like an official like proper cover, I guess. Then I did it more regularly like during the COVID 2021. Started posting more regularly just because I realized it didn't have too much content when people were asking me for like if I went for an interview for like a teaching job or like trying out for a band or people heard what I sound like. So I think just having at least a platform to upload stuff that I like that people could watch me do, I thought that was kind of why I started uploading covers. And I just play songs that I like, just regular rock songs, lift the drum parts, just play them. And it's like doesn't have to be necessarily the most flashiest songs or anything, just straight ahead rock songs that I like, which I guess appreciate a lot more and more and more. If you can do the job and you have the feel of it, then you're doing something right.
Tense up a whole lot when the camera's rolling and everything too, or do you try to have a good amount of fun with it?
Yeah, but I since getting back to like regular gigging, since like everything started opening up a little bit with COVID, I haven't done as much recently. I think the last thing I posted was in January, actually. I did a Olivia Rodrigo, Good For You, just a pop song. But I keep telling myself I'm going to do one because there's like so many songs I want to do, but I just need to just haven't made the time for it. So I keep telling myself I will upload something more, but with more gigs and more teaching, like filling up my time, that I just been putting that aside right now.
Yeah, you sort of keep yourself busy, but your teaching jobs are your main career, and then you do the gigging on the side.
Yeah, mostly private lessons, like one-on-one drum lessons as well. So I usually do that afternoon, evenings, weekdays, and then all days, Saturday, Sunday. Then my gigs usually are evening times. Sometimes if I have like a big festival gig, I'll like sub out of teaching here and there, depending on what the gig is, or if it's like a good paying gig, then obviously I'll take it. So I try to juggle with both.
Is it a part of a university, or is it like a part of its own little independent store?
Oh, it's an independent store.
Oh, okay,
a couple music schools and that. Yeah. One name is called Tone Labs Music, close by to my house. Yeah, they're independent. They just have one store. And then another one is I work at Along a McQuaid, but they're like a big like chain, like all across the country. So like there's one branch, like 20 minutes drive from my house that I go to as well. And then I got a few that are private students. So like a bit of a mix.
I see. Yeah. Sorry, I kind of broke up a little bit there. Okay, we're all good there. I guess, is there anything you hope to achieve with your YouTube channel, or you just kind of
do like big all the time? I mean, I definitely think I should upload once in a while, so at least just to still keep things fresh. Because I definitely like to have a platform where it's like people can follow me or hear me somewhere, at least as like a base. That's kind of, since it's hard to I know it's a lot of time consuming just recording, uploading, editing, and everything, and you don't get any, especially starting out, you don't get paid for it, and obviously my teaching and gigs do. But as like a side thing, um, I'll upload something once in a while, just because it's fun. It's fun just playing along to songs. But it's like more, I guess, the hobby thing. But I don't know if maybe I get a lot of subscribers bit by bit. If I upload again, then maybe. I mean, I always told myself I would want to get to the 1,000 threshold, I guess, where it's like you can at least monetize them to get to that point, even if I don't necessarily make money from them because I do mostly just covers. But at least just getting that point of getting ads, or maybe the artist that I like is getting money or something. It's just getting to maybe that point would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
However long it takes.
Yeah, it's normally the dream point right there for most of us, at least, and it's extremely tough.
Just that threshold, 1,000 subscribers, public hours, 4,000 or something, whatever it is.
It's something like that. Yeah. It was 4,000 public hours, and then obviously the 1,000 subscriber mark, and then you obviously see some people, they'll just quote unquote buy subscribers, because that's what some people end up selling through Instagram and stuff like that. It's so annoying. I don't know. Do you get those messages too?
Meh, sometimes, but I still get a subscriber here and there, even though I haven't posted in a few months. So it's still nice seeing oh, I'm still getting a bit more, bit by bit. So maybe I should keep it in my mind a little bit to upload once in a while.
Yeah, I see. Do you mostly just stick with drum covers, or do you post any other sort of videos?
Mostly just drum covers. Although, once I've been telling myself to film more at gigs, so maybe once in a while, if I get some good footage of live performances, I'll upload some of those as well, just to see different sides of me, I guess. Since I'm mostly I'm performing drummer at gigs, it's my more ideal setting to kind of see me at my best element, where improvise, just be expressive or whatever. So
yeah, I see. It's normally good to change it up, because my channel, it's kind of jumped around a little bit too, but it did start with drum covers, but I think you tend to get a little bit more once you start expanding details. I think people like to see some sort of live stuff, so maybe doing some sort of vlog at some point. That's just an idea.
Maybe, or a teaching tutorial of a lesson or something. That could be something I might do in the future as well.
I mean, how-to videos could be the rage at times,
Yeah, I always find they're hit or miss. It could take one song that suddenly you get coverage, or YouTube recommends for so many people. It's a lot of views and then not a lot. I always find it's always up and down, or it could take one hit to kind of break you out or something. I find it hit or miss.
Yeah, I can see what you mean too, though. Okay. So, what do you love most about drumming?
Yeah, drumming is where I feel I express myself, or it's my way of communicating to the world in a way. I mean, I'm also I'm on the autism spectrum, so I was never always the biggest social person or very talkative to many people. That's always been a difficulty for me. So when I started drumming in middle school, that was kind of my way of people getting to know me, is that I'm the drummer boy of the school or something. So when I drum, it's that's the way people interacting with me, getting to know me, something that I'm good at, or just it's my mode of expression, if you will. And it's I just feel myself when I'm sitting on the kit and just playing and performing.
Most people tend to say it's a therapeutic kind of session too, considering the stress that kind of goes on in the world. Do you kind of think that's the same thing with you?
Oh yeah, for sure. Even if I'm not necessarily preparing for anything or just freestyling, it's just kind of my way to get my yeah-yeahs out, or just breaking a sweat.
Let the dark side of the force out, so to speak.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Or channeling my dark side or anger or something towards playing along with the heavy rock song or something. It's yeah, now I'm really feeling it.
Hulk smash, that sort of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
We get to bang on something and not get in trouble for doing it too.
Yeah.
All right. Who would you say has been your biggest influence in terms of drumming? Or do you have multiple drummers who have influenced you?
Yeah, I've had a few starting out, not necessarily always the biggest names, but I guess for a few names. John Bonham was one of my favorites. Led Zeppelin I listened to a lot of. Jimmy Chamberlain of Smashing Pumpkins, I really like his playing. A lot of just regular rocks. With some other names. Drummer of Queens of the Stone Age, Taylor Hawkins I really like as well. Uh, Neil Peart I liked as well. Yeah, I did a few Rush covers, but mostly like it's interesting. I don't always just focus on like who the drummer is when I listen to like rock songs or just many songs. I just listen to how they mesh with the music or if they're doing their job. So even if it's like a simple rock songs, if they're intense, nice flavor, nice tastefulness with the fills or groove, then it's like you're doing something, right? You're creating your help with creating the music. And that's kind of the way I approach it with like drums. Just know my role, know what I have to do. I don't always have to be the most flashiest, most choppiest drummer, I guess. I mean, I love getting my moments here and there because, always when you're a drummer at the show, you're always just kind of laying it down mostly with the bass. So helping the other guys in front, like, have backup. But, if I'm authentic with the music that I'm playing, just good groove, good fills, having tastefulness and feel with my stuff, then I'm fine.
I forget who the drummer was for the other trio Canadian band, Triumph. Do you know the name by any chance?
Oh, Triumph. Oh, shoot. I don't remember. I know the guitar player Rick Emmett. He was a songwriting teacher at Humber, actually. So I had him as a teacher in one of my classes. I remember.
Oh, that's so badass. I always feel bad because it feels like everyone's kind of like overshadowed by like Neil Peart because of like how great of a drummer he was, since he's nicknamed the Professor, so to speak.
Yeah.
So he's like the big Canadian drummer you pretty much like know right off the bat, but you don't like know anybody else. So that's why I kind of feel bad not knowing the one for Triumph.
Yeah. Oh yeah, there's lots of underrated names. Even like there's one Canadian rock band I've listened to a lot growing up called the Tea Party. Like their drummer Jeff Burrows, he is amazing. Like he doesn't just play simple beats; he does lots of cool fills because they do long compositions, lots of breakdowns, and like longer kind of stuff. Not necessarily like first chorus, and that's it. So but since the band was never like big, mostly just Canada and Australia was their like big points. I feel like he's not well known, and like he's really, really good. So there's a lot of unknown names that are like, just as good, if not better, than like some of the more flashier names we always hear.
I actually feel bad too, because even in like the American scene with a lot of great drummers too, even like some from the British scene too, like Keith Moon, for instance, or Bill Ward from Black Sabbath.
Yep.
So, like I said, you tend to feel bad when you just know like all the big names, and then you gotta know like some of the underrated drummers too.
Yeah.
And I like to say Taylor Hawkins as an underrated drummer because since he was playing with Dave Grohl, who was the drummer for Nirvana, you tend to look more at Dave Grohl, to be honest. And I think before he had showed up, I think Dave Grohl was handling the responsibilities of the early Foo Fighters. So rest in peace, by the way.
Also, Brad Wilk of Rage Against the Machine. Like, I mean, he mostly just bangs, like, just beats, mostly with, like, just Tom Morello, Zach, and everybody. But, like, he has really tasty grooves, and he just has nice intensity that just, I feel like he doesn't get talked about a lot either. I mean, even, like, Chad Smith. I mean, he's very well known because, like, the Chili Peppers, obviously. Like, I mean, he's mostly, like, a groove guy, not always the most flashiest kind of fellas, but, like, he does the job. Like, him and Flea are a great duo, and he does the job right, I guess. Like, it just works with the music, and that's all you need sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, I've just heard songs, like, the most badass songs, and probably the most well-known ones, too. They're just probably the most simplest of grooves of all. They probably don't do a whole lot of drum fills and stuff like that. And it's just simple with what the drummer's doing. Because we were actually talking about it with a couple of friends of mine, because I work at a second job at a restaurant, and we were playing Shout at the Devil by Motley Crue, and we were just saying, like, drummer's not doing much, but it feels like if he's doing something different, it probably would not fit with the song. So it's almost like he has to just keep it that simple. So
yeah. Or even like all the drummers, like Phil Rudd of like AC/DC, like he's mostly just like doing scats. But like he didn't have to do fills because it just worked with the rock style. Or even like Meg White of the White Stripes, she's like gets a lot of criticism for being so simplistic, but it's like it works. Him and Jack White were a great duo, and it's like for like Neil Peart wouldn't have worked with the white stripes. Only Meg White was the best person for it, you know. So there's an appreciation for simplistic drummers that I guess they're allowed to be talked about in the good graces, I guess, of critics.
Yes, and rest in peace to anyone who has recently passed on. I don't know about some of the other drummers you mentioned, but I know about Neil Peart and Taylor Hawkins. So
yeah, Joey Jordison as well of Slipknot. I mean, he's more like the more busiest, choppiest of. I mean, he's sick, and like he's like one of the more crazy names for like the metal drummers.
Yeah.
I mean, even like Lars Ulrich. I mean, I loved Lars Ulrich when I was like in middle school because I loved Metallica. I mean, I know like his thrash stuff and everything, like his earlier stuff. He was like, it was really good. I think it was like the Saint Anger, like pots and pans drums that like really overshadowed like his, I guess, great ability. Which, I mean, no, I mean, I'm not personally a fan of the sound either. But like, I mean, they're going for like a raw anger kind of sound. So I mean, whatever. But like, he was made Metallica. No other drummer could have done Metallica, you know.
He's been sticking around, I mean, since the early 80s right there. I mean, it shows commitment, too. I mean, there's a lot of bands that have gone through so many lineup changes, too. So, I mean...
Yeah, he's been there from the very beginning.
Have you had, like, any lineup issues with, like, any of the groups you've been playing with?
Yeah, I've had a few in and out. I mean, my band Accolades, like, it's mostly bass, drums, guitar, and vocals as, like, our core. And then sometimes we have horns, depending if it's a bigger gig and like we have more money to pay. They will have like 3 horns, sometimes 1 or 2 horns, or depending who's available. Maybe 1 horn is not available because they have another gig or something. So we've had things like that. We've had some difficulties like with singers as well with other things. So we've had to change with our singer, different horn players in and out as well. So like things like that, or like maybe for like my jazz trio or other bands, maybe I like couldn't make a gig, so like they would find a sub for me or have to find a sub for me for like something else. So I mean, that's just kind of how it is in like musician life around. You can't make everything, or you have like something else that comes up, so sometimes you have to get a sub, or just like, you know, there's lots of great musicians around the Toronto music scene that can like fill in if need be, which is kind of nice. You know, there's lots of people around that can do the job just as well as you do, maybe even better, if not better. So, like, things like that, I guess, best way to say with lineup changes sometimes.
Yeah, I'd say also with a city of, like, X amount of millions of people there, too, since you're pretty diverse in terms of, like, culture and everything, too. So, it's a big city and everything, because in terms of Toronto, I was, like, seeing apartment buildings, and it looks like that's been the big number one thing that's, like, towering over everything else. Even, like the skyscrapers there, too. It's, like, giant building blocks, too. So, it's clever design, so I will give it that. So when me and my dad were up there in Toronto not too long ago. So I guess let's see. I guess let's jump into COVID a little bit. So did you have any scares with COVID too? Because I know you talked about how it opened up your opportunities with YouTube and I guess trying out some other projects with your musicianship.
Oh yeah, definitely had an impact for sure. Although I will say early on, like during like the, I guess, start of it, March, April, May, where like everything was like locked down, couldn't go anywhere. Like it was kind of refreshing in a way at first, because like all my little stuff for teaching gigs that I was doing, you know, just kind of was always overwhelming in my mind mentally, just committing to things. And then so like having like that time to like step away or step back and not feeling the busyness of life was like kind of refreshing at first. Like I didn't have a gig till like July of 2021, like for the first time in like 16 months since like before COVID. And you know, like I missed gigs obviously, but like I didn't really miss it. I kind of just accepted the reality. It's like, yeah, I won't be playing anytime soon. It'll be what it'll be. So that's kind of how the way I was approaching it. But then as things started opening up a little bit, like last summer, I started getting more students now, since I just started getting into more of the teaching, like just a little bit before COVID, because I was subbing in for other teachers, but then started getting more regular work, I guess. So I didn't have as many at the time. I was mostly just like gigging more than teaching. But then since gigs shut down, it helped me get into the whole online teaching, because I never taught online before. So like one of my schools kind of forced us into like being online because like we had no other choice. So like having that option now to go online or do a lesson, like a makeup, if like someone can't make on in person but are open to doing online, has been like nice. I mean, I much prefer in person now that I'm strictly in person now regularly, because just the interaction and picking more details with drum technique and whatever is a lot easier in person. So that's, since I wasn't gigging at all, it's like, what else am I going to do? So I might as well just try to get more students, which I've gotten a lot more students during COVID. But it's been like up and down. Like during when things were opening up last summer, went in person, but still wearing masks and whatever. But then more little lockdowns happen over and over and over again in Canada. So then it was then that really like I was getting more and more sad every time like the lockdowns were happening, because I had a lot of students. I was getting more, but then dropped back down because not a lot of drummers want to do online lessons because it's not the same setup, which I totally understand. I mean, it sucks, but like I can understand why a person wouldn't want to do online because it's not the same. And if I was in their shoes, I probably would have done the same thing. I would have just stopped if like we couldn't go in person and only just wait until things are open again to go back in person. So, I mean, it's opened definitely a lot of avenues for sure, especially with the lessons and, just understanding myself, being in tune with like anxiety or working with my mind with meditations and just seeing life in a more deeper kind of way. So just reassess things. So, as much as it's easy to look at a lot of the negative things that happen for sure with no gigs, a lot shutdown of teaching and whatever, there are some positives that happened as well.
Yeah, absolutely too. And I always feel bad because more of the right-wing networks down here in the States, they always seem to keep blasting Trudeau for like any sort of thing he's doing in terms of COVID. I guess, what's it like up there? Do you kind of not agree with his policies, or is he kind of going off the rails?
I really can't stand Trudeau. I really despise him. No, I've really not agreed with his policies at all.
So like I said, that whole trucker thing that was going on in Ottawa, that wasn't just for show or anything. It was pretty serious.
Well, they definitely tried, big media and him tried to villainize it as much as they could. I'm one of the few that actually loved it, actually. Because I'm glad that people were finally like standing up or expressing themselves, and like at least some were finally heard, I guess. I mean, it's whatever, I guess. I mean, you're not gonna agree with everything. Some favor vaccines, some don't want it, or it's like they don't feel they want to take it or shouldn't be forced to. It's like, I mean, people have the right to express themselves.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to at least be heard and not just be censored or just being called names just because like they don't agree with you or something.
One would hope, but it certainly seems to be I don't know if cancer is really the right word, but you kind of get the idea. It's a bad thing in society, for lack of a better term. So I guess, what's it like right now? They at least allow you to go back to one-on-one sessions?
Well, definitely things right now are definitely a lot more open. Like I can walk around without a mask. There's no mandates or anything. I mean, there's still like travel things, sometimes like going to the airports, like going there and back. So it's not completely gone, I guess. But like, I mean, haven't been traveling or anything and at all. So I still do my in-person lessons and still do my outdoor gigs again, which has been great. So definitely a nice feeling of normalcy.
Yeah, I can kind of relate to it. I would say maybe it's a bit more lax in the States, but I'm hoping the whole travel thing between Canada and the U.S. doesn't get hindered anymore, because I think we've been trying to think of like other plans to go up north, close to like Quebec City, Montreal, Ottawa, those cities right there.
Yeah.
But it's on the back burner for now, so we'll get to it eventually.
Yeah, I mean, media keeps saying beware the fall or whatever. It's like I'm done with it. I'm done reading all this same old stuff. I mean, you tried the same old lockdown thing over and over again. It's just like, what's changed? It's still the same old thing. You think it's going to be any different? So I'm just done with the whole thing. Just want to get back to normalcy, just regular life that I'm doing right now, and just be done with it, I guess. I mean, like COVID, there to stay. Like it'll still be going around. People are gonna get sick. I mean, it happens. I mean, yeah, there's people that die, but what can you do? What can you do? I think just trying to do too much sometimes with overreach, I guess. I don't know. I mean, yeah, people will disagree with me, but I mean, you're allowed to.
Yeah,
It's
it's
just,
within your
I
rights.
mean,
I
it's a
mean, yeah.
beauty. I mean, we all have different viewpoints on things. It's always, I've definitely like distance from certain people with political views at times. Even like some discussions with families, sometimes I don't always agree with, but what can you do?
Yep, I just gave you my opinion. And if they keep disagreeing, you're like, whatever, you do what you want. I don't really care at this point. It's kind of like along those lines. I don't know if you're like that way, but
I know I definitely can get caught up with it too much because I know it just messes with me mentally if I like look too much into it. So it's definitely good to kind of step away from it and detach from it and just kind of have my own life to worry about, my own emotions, my own anxiety. You know, it's me that I want to have a long life to live for. So
we'd like to live to 100.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
There's so much more productive things I could be doing with my life than just scrolling, watching what someone has said in the media. I mean, I'll
Yeah.
still like get like riled up with it. Or it's like, oh my gosh, I can't stand you. But
Yes. Actually, were you a big fan of Game of Thrones? Not to get off topic, but just out of curiosity.
I never actually watched it. Hilariously enough,
Uh, there was always
but
a funny quote.
I've heard so many the ending. They're like posting crazy on Facebook, and I just like was like, I'm not angry because I never watched it, so I can't really say. I guess I'm out of it.
The only reason why I brought it up, it's because I always like the quote too. Is like Tyrion Lannister, who's like one of the characters from it. He kind of always mentions about like how he wants to at least peacefully die. For instance, it's like when I'm at an old age, I'm sitting in a chair and a girl's mouth is around my cock. That sort of thing. I don't think I worded it correctly, but it was along those lines. So sorry, but you get the idea. That's kind of like what I would want to say at some point. All right. So, Mark, we've reached this part of the podcast where now I give my interviewees a little bit of freedom to ask me anything, or if there's anything you'd like to get off your chest. So, how about it?
Yeah. Whereabouts are you right now?
I'm in the state of Pennsylvania. The city is Pittsburgh. So,
Okay.
in terms of, well, we have to go obviously around Lake Erie and all that in order to get to Toronto. But I thought it was like a 5-hour drive whenever we wanted to go to Toronto. And it's actually been really peaceful. It's actually been a lot more wetter down here because normally between July and August it gets real dry, and fortunately it takes away the chore of mowing the grass, so you don't have to worry about that too much. So actually we've been getting a lot of rain here too. I don't know, have you been getting a lot too?
Oh yeah, we get a lot of rain.
Okay.
Lots of right now, lots of heat 'cause it's middle of summer. But I'll get like some lots of rain, like spurts, sometimes really big thunder, and then it just clears up. It's like weather's so unpredictable. Or it's like I think it's gonna rain tomorrow, but it's like, oh wait, it's sunny.
Yep, the weatherman got
Always
it
say
wrong.
it's like if you want to be like the best liar, it's like go be a weatherman or be a politician.
Absolutely too. Hey, they'll give you the big money too, and then they'll just hate you once you walk out of the studio if you're the weatherman too. And the politician,
Yeah.
they'll hate you regardless, one way or the other. They'll hate you one way or the other. So
Yeah, I'd never envy any other positions ever. I would never want to be in that position.
oh no,
Where it just like you make one decision and then it's like you get crap on,
yes,
and it's like there's never like any privacy. You just get all the attention like 24/7 without any escape. I mean, I guess that's what with being famous as well, musician or an actor. So it's like one wrong thing you say, you get like blasted. It's like could be overwhelming. So I always say before you get famous, know who you are because people will eat you up.
there's that too. It's like if you try to say like one thing and then it just gets blown out of proportion because you could probably say like it would be like something racist, for instance, and you weren't technically being that way, and then people just like post this all on social media and raise awareness and stuff like that. So I can see what you mean too.
Yeah, and some things, even like one tweet, is definitely like gets blown up way too much. It's just I guess the way social media is now.
So, but regardless,
So I try to take it with a grain of salt. It's like, oh yeah, you shouldn't have said that. I get it, but I'm not gonna just hate you right away just from one thing you said. Maybe you had a bad day or just bad something. At the end of the day, we're all human beings. We all have different experiences, different views, but you try to accept them for who they are, even if you don't always agree with their views or whatever, and not necessarily just block them or censor them or get them away just because they disagree with you. You said something that really upsets you. I think that's important to always keep in mind.
Do that or just say like, hold my beer, I'm gonna kick this guy's ass, sort of thing, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I always hear different things all the time with musicians, like at gigs, and it's important. Just go with the flow. Sometimes accept them for who they are. I mean, that's important.
Absolutely.
Acceptance, love, and acceptance. That's
Or like a new age hippie kind of deal. Yeah, we're kind of re-entering the new hippie age, I guess, if we want to call it that. So it would be nice. It would be nice.
Yeah.
All right. Did you have anything else?
What's the music like around here, or around where you are?
Pittsburgh? I actually spoke with a guy who works in a studio, and he says it's pretty diverse. You get the metal, you get the pop, R&B, jazz. It's a little diverse, but it always gets overshadowed by cities like Nashville, for instance.
Right.
Who like know that as like the country western capital of the states, for instance. But there other cities I've been to, I know there's Asheville over in North Carolina that's pretty known for its studios as well. But I mean, every city you see, including Pittsburgh, it's pretty diverse. To give you the shorter answer, yeah.
Do I have anything else? How often do you interviews with different people?
It varies at times because obviously sometimes life kind of comes first too. So actually, this weekend was a little bit crazy too because we're trying to hustle to get this one in too. Because I know we were back and forth, and then actually I saw your message last night. I was thinking like, oh crap, I gotta send the questions and everything, and then make sure I get them added on Skype. So that one was a little bit hectic, but like sometimes if I'm like real busy with like life in terms of stuff, other times I get like 2 or 3 a week. So
nice.
It does take a little bit, but it normally I try to post like 1, maybe 2 episodes per week on my channel.
Yeah, I guess the beauty with YouTube, I mean, you have to be regular with it to like gain traction. So it's definitely one of the hardest things to do.
Yeah, I see what you mean too. And sometimes you get the subscribers based on like how many people. I know one guy I interviewed, he had like 8,000 subscribers, and that gave me a nice little boost there. But then it like stopped afterwards. It wasn't like a whole lot of people just came in there too. So it takes some time, and I guess obviously at some point once you start getting a little bit more recognition, then it starts to flow in. So
I think I did like skim through your channel a little bit because I see like mostly podcasts. I guess was it Drumman 190 that you had on?
Yeah.
He's been had been watching my stuff. He has like a Facebook page called like Drummers to Watch where he just tries to grow the community. So he does like a lot of like different kinds of videos. So yeah, I know him. I think like as part of his 6,000 subscriber celebration, he did like the Cool in the Gang celebration, and he just got like different drummers to like post like covers of it, and then he just clashed it together and just did like a whole collaboration of drummers just at different snippets of the song. So yeah, he seems like a nice guy.
He is. He was a real nice guy. And I think he did the same thing with Green Day's 21 Guns. I don't know if that was a big collaboration because I know some other drummers do that too, but I know he did something like that.
Yeah, I don't think I didn't do that. I wasn't on that one, but I participated in the celebration one.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. Nah, it's cool. Just trying to give more lower creators more attention. Just kind of creating a whole giant community of just, great drummers just doing their thing, love what they're doing. Yeah. I think it's great what he's doing.
Yeah, absolutely too. I wish him best of luck going forward. All right, so anything else?
I think that's it for now.
I'm gonna give
Is there anything more you'd like to ask me?
Technically, we're just down to the last question too. Normally I would like to ask like how everything is up in your neck of the woods, but since you already told me the weather, and I guess yours is more of like a suburb, is that what it is?
Kind of, not really. I'm still like city, like around like city. I've always been a city boy.
It's that big of a city, yeah.
Oh yeah, especially now with more like buildings and everything, it's just becoming a lot more busy. I mean, Toronto is busy enough as it is, but even like around Toronto, Markham, GTA, there's lots of people.
I was getting kicked when you say GTA because I'm always thinking like Grand Theft Auto, since that's what most people are saying. I mean, that's what
I
people
mean, I
think.
remember when Markham was like so much just farmland and everything, but like a lot of it's like gone, destroyed. It's been filled with like homes. I mean, just a little bit north of where I am, there's like still farms, like cottage countries and area, but it's like I guess gradually now become more just like mass migration.
Yeah, they tend to get more
At
to
least
the
where I am, anyways.
they go more to the upper north or more towards the west right there. I guess that's where most of them tend to migrate to or whatever.
Yeah, but even then, like a few gigs I've done in Markham, I've like a few. There's few great musicians in Markham that I like play with. I like I'm like part of this Markham Arts Council. One guy who's like one of the runners of it, his name is Dan Felushko. He's like been like getting like grants and stuff and trying to get like more sponsorships for many of the venues around Markham just to kind of like grow the community a little bit, which is really cool. It's like Markham is a legit music city, not just Toronto.
Yeah,
Just trying to grow the music, grow the arts, because I think it's so important. Everybody needs it in their life.
yeah, it's like we matter too, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
I guess. Hold on, I was just trying to remember. I had the question right on the tip of my tongue too, and I just lost it. Oh yeah, your two friends you mentioned earlier. I think it was Greg and Bruce. Do you still stay in touch with them?
Well, one Matthew Turcott. That was the first guy I
Oh,
mentioned.
Matt. Sorry.
Matthew. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't talk to him regularly. Like once in a while, he'll like check in a message. How am I doing? Kind of thing. Same with Jeff. We're not like close or anything right now. But there are always people that are dear to my heart. That with like where I started drums originally, and like I don't feel the need I have to talk with them all the time. It's like if I message them once in a while, it's like we never left.
Just
So,
pick up
and that's
right
how I am
where we start.
with like most people. It's like, yeah, you're a great guy, and if like if I don't talk to you in like 6 months or a little while, it's like it's okay. I know it'll be good when we reconnect.
It's almost like, hey, it's still high school. It's all Mark right here. Just come over here, buddy. Give me a hug, that sort of thing. So,
Yeah, exactly.
all right.
And I met a few new people like in like an autism group as well during pandemic, which are like kind of more, I guess, like me, like music, have same kind of like difficulties or something, which is cool. So met a couple new people that way,
I've always had autism
and
being.
some from like school as well. Like Chris Molino, who I play with, like a jazz trio. He's autistic like me, which is pretty cool. So
Yeah, sorry. I was just autism. I know is a complicated feature. I guess was yours just more of like a little bit of impairment in terms of like learning some stuff, or I guess what's it like?
I mean, it's mostly like social cues, um, just like listening, difficulties with socializing, like little bit of obsessions. I'm high functioning autism,
I see.
and then just difficulty with communicating, especially just talking with people or like asking a question or just being bold to like speak out. Sometimes I'm like, oh, I've been very shy most of my life. Still am. I mean, definitely better obviously now that I'm an adult, but I still have my little flashes, I guess.
Well, it's just funny too because just even this conversation too, I don't think people would even know like, oh, this guy has autism, that sort of thing. He speaks like a normal human being. So I mean,
Yeah, I get that a lot, and that's a compliment.
yep.
It means it's not really necessarily always visible, which is cool. Like, I guess identify more like I guess, normal human being, I guess. Yeah, I never really talked about it ever until like I made like a giant Facebook post on like Autism Awareness Day in 2020 because there's a day every year. It's April 2nd, and so I just decided, hey, I'll just let the world know I have this. This is some of the stuff that I deal with or whatever, and like, man, it really blew up with like likes and people are really appreciative that I posted it. So it's like, hey, I'm not afraid to hide it anymore. I just be myself.
Quote unquote coming out of the closet sort of thing, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. Now it's like I don't need to over talk about it or make awareness of it. It's like, okay, now it's like I'm just my normal self, just doing what I'm doing.
That's good to hear, and it's good to see you're overcoming your autism struggles too, because it's a little tough. Because in some people in my family too, I know one who's got real severe autism too, and not very communicative and stuff like that. So it gets frustrating because it's not something that people are then used to, and it's almost like you want to like tell them like be normal, sort of thing. Is there any way for you to like be normal? So it's a struggle too, and I like hearing stories like this. So it's good on you, mate. Good job.
Thank you.
All right.
Yeah, every human being is beautiful in their own way and have unique sides to them, and it's like it's amazing how much beauty these people can resonate.
Peace.
Even like people in my spectrum, like me, and I feel like I always find like more and more and more and more people like kind of like me, or even like I didn't realize for the longest time like a famous person like Elon Musk has Asperger's. Like even someone famous has like some difficulties. It's like we're all human.
Yep. And I think I also learned that patience is a virtue. Is my kind of saying that I kind of go with too. So it would be something to at least pass on to other people too. So
yeah, I'd like to think I've always been good with patience in general.
all right.
And I guess we definitely needed that a lot during COVID.
Yeah, absolutely. I kind of wish everybody else got the memo too, because it was not pretty at all. It's safe to say it was not pretty. Maybe some over exaggeration with like what the media kind of says and everything, but you kind of get the idea. It wasn't pretty, and very much a lack of patience. So, all right. Did you have anything else before we jump to the last question?
Nope, I think I'm good.
All right. So, the last question I always like to ask, because I like to at least like hear like people's opinion on it. It may be a little bit cliche because maybe people say stuff along the same line, but what sort of message of hope could you give to musicians out there?
If you love it, stay with it. Don't give up. If you have a dream or a goal, go for it. I mean, still, take care of yourself. Your health and mind comes first more than anything. Yeah.
Spoke like a true prodigy. Sorry, I wasn't sure. I was trying to make sure I give you some space there to kind of phrase out your question. So, all right. Well, Mark.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Short and sweet, yeah.
Yeah, nothing. Yeah, short and sweet. Nothing crazy or anything.
Or at least try to sugarcoat it, that sort of thing too. All right.
Or the future is always unpredictable. So whatever you think is going to happen in next year, a few months may not necessarily be the case. So just staying in the moment, just approaching things day by day, because tomorrow could be totally a different thing that you don't always expect. I think that's always important.
Absolutely. All right. So, Mark, we've reached the end of my podcast right here. Do you have any final words or any shout outs you want to give before we close out?
Well, thank you for having me on and just giving me an opportunity to kind of interview and just get out and socialize a little bit. And just, I guess it's pretty cool that you found me through my YouTube channel. So at least my YouTube had some great impact that way. Like just of
I want to say it was actually like
notice.
a mention, because I know I've subscribed to like other drummer channels just to kind of help out and everything too. There's obviously hope that they would subscribe back. So I don't know if I got everybody yet, but I think it was that, and then I think I found you on Instagram because that was the way I had to contact you.
Right.
And
yeah,
it gets a little tough too because like there's not too many drummers on there who have like any sort of contact info, so it's kind of hard to like reach out and kind of socialize with them. So
yeah. I mean, I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I think I still have a Twitter as well, but I almost never use it. My band, some bands that I play with, my band Accolades. You can check them out as well. Facebook, Instagram, Accolades Music. We have a Spotify as well. Chris Molyneux Jazz Trio. That's just some other stuff that you can check out, like me drumming in a few different musical projects and stuff.
And the list goes on. He's got a nice big resume and everything.
Yeah, there's always more, and it'll just keep growing.
All right. So, Mark, I want to thank you so much again for coming on here, buddy. So, stay safe. Stay tuned, y'all.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Brian.